What's up, everyone? Thank you for joining us once again on the Yokai Delinquents podcast. I am Sean, Bearded Capolitan.
And I am Jerry Robo-Tengu Smith. How's it going, Sean? How you doing this week?
Not doing too bad, going through several existential midlife crises, and the world is falling apart around me, but only me, luckily. Ever since the beginning of January, I think things have been good, or I've just not been looking at the news.
Yeah.
So I think we're okay right now.
Yeah, I definitely think, as far as news goes, I took out a lot of like problem folks that were on social media with me, so it's been a little bit. Yeah, it's been a little bit calmer in the social media section of my life for sure.
For sure, always a healthy thing, and those kind of people will always out themselves.
Yeah,
but no, I don't know. It's weird. Now, beginning of this month, I turned 41.
Yeah,
and this is what I'm blaming for my own psychoses and how how I change my mind about things, as I think a lot of us do. But here's the thing, Jerry. Now, you know me. Mm-hmm. I'm a collector of things.
Okay. Yeah.
I have characters and franchises I am a fan of. And in my mind, I told myself, okay, right, you love One Piece. We love One Piece. Chicks dig One Piece. Guys dig One Piece. But I had to contain my love by... focus in on who do I love the most, and that is, of course, Buggy the Clown, right?
Yeah.
So I collected Buggy. And Transformers, 1980s specifically, was Soundwave. And I became that collector of, I need to get everything of these characters, which isn't hard because Buggy doesn't get shit in this fucking world. But, and I did branch out. I did the My Hero Academia Funko Pops. I collect every fucking one of them. So here I am sitting with 80 plus, I don't know, 80, I'm exaggerating, a shit ton of My Hero Funkos, other Funkos, a ton of whatever Soundwave comes out, and all 7 of Buggy's figures.
All 7?
None of which are a portrait of pirate. But... man, it kind of hit me. Like, I'm buying every little thing that comes out for these characters that I love, and I'm not mad about that. But I don't know if it's old age. Do you develop class when you get older, unless you listen to Fox News? I'm kind of not wanting to get everything anymore. Like, I look you know what I'm talking about.
I definitely feel you on that, because I hit that quite a while back.
Damn, you're like 20, so I mean, that's impressive. But
I think I'm like 32, but who's counting,
But I look at and I have to admit, my impressive My Hero Academia Funko Pop collection, and I like it. And then but I'm at the same time, I'm looking like, man, I could have gotten that nice $300+ Froppy statue for what I've paid for 27 of these, this photo. Basically, it's like, man, am I trying to get classy in my collecting? Am I like I don't want to get just every little figure, every little Funko Pop of stuff I like. And there's nothing wrong if you do, but it's like, I just wonder if it's age related or just... like, I think I'm going to be getting rid of these.
Oh.
Like, I kind of want to free up space for high dollar statues and only get one of them a year. You know what I mean? Like, instead of hitting up Walmart every week and looking for whatever new cool Funko Pop that I do love coming out, why don't I just, save up for a couple paychecks and go get a statue that looks like, that looks like it costs $300.
Right, right.
Like, do you, man, is it me? And it's also like, that's also extending to my comic books. I'm getting kind of tired of the weekly floppies.
Oh yeah. I mean, I didn't really get that way until I moved up here, and I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm actually saving quite a bit of money, and they've it kind of sucks, and I sort of hate it, but I'm okay with just getting collections. But with Donny Cates' Venom run coming to an end,
Yeah.
they're doing all these big events and stuff, and part of me is like, man, I really wish I knew what all was going on in this. But at the same time, I'm like, man, if I was still like collecting this, there's like 80 like different books that are coming out for this fucking event like a month that I'm not having to pay for.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And full disclosure, and I'm not a
Mhm.
wealthy man by any means, because again, I said save up several paychecks to buy the expensive statue. It's not a financial thing, surprisingly,
Mhm.
which is usually when I have to start cutting out my fucking nerd hobbies. It's
Mhm.
usually because of money. It's just like, I mean, don't get it wrong. I'm gonna stay subscribed to like Savage Dragon, Usagi Yojimbo, Saga if it ever comes back,
Yeah, remember that?
and I gotta go down my list and think about it. But man, that's it. And there are some
Mhm.
books that I'll be dropping that I'm truly loving, like Immortal Hulk,
Mhm.
which may be a bit easier because I didn't jump on it when it started. And it's a fantastic book, but it's like, I think I'd rather go buy the omnibus because I heard it's only going to be like a 50 issue run.
Mhm.
I'm like, am I really going to go back in my long box and dig out each issue if I ever want to revisit it, or do I just buy a very nice hardcover omnibus?
Right. Yeah, and that's kind of where I stand with all my comics. Like they've just been, we packed them all up, moved out here, and I've tossed them in a closet. And
Right.
honestly, if I would have had the time and the space to do it, I would have gone through and tried to sell a bunch of them because there's like, I don't know, just kind of minimalizing and getting rid of a lot of stuff that I don't necessarily need. Like
Yeah.
even all the Green Lantern stuff. Like I think I got
Right.
every issue of Jeff Johns' Green Lantern and the core series that was going on at the same time, and then every Sinestro offshoot, every Sinestro course offshoot, and then every Blackest Night
Right.
offshoot and
Right.
everything. And like, I mean that like took up a lot of like my time and likes and everything back then. But it's kind of one of those things of like, I don't know that I'll ever go back to it and read it. And if I wanted to, like, I could, purchase that stuff digitally and read it that way or something like that, or get a collection, like you said.
Yeah, I'm hitting that level, I think, and it's like, I mean, I'm right now. I've been contacting some of our mutual friends who are interested in the things I'm interested in, and like I'm wholesaling this if I can. Like, you know what I mean? It's like the stuff I want to. I'm keeping a good chunk of things. Don't get it wrong, but
Mm-hmm.
it's like, yeah, I kind of want to get rid of the clutter. Kind of like
Right.
quality over quantity, which I don't want. That sounds negative because, like, a lot of people, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
because Funkos are $10 to $12, easily made and mass productions, I still love them. I'm keeping
Mm-hmm.
a few for sure,
Right.
but it's just like, yeah, like I look at my collection, I was like, that's kind of awesome, but I'm also like, I ain't got no damn room, and I kind of like, yeah, maybe I want to. I'll tell you what it is. I'll tell you what I think kind of got it kick started.
All right.
I recently got some Ahsoka Funko Pops 'cause I finally wanted to have some Ahsoka figures, as the
Right.
older ones are really high dollar, and
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I like them. I love them. They're great. And then our good friend Gregory,
Mm-hmm.
who some of y'all might know from our Macabre Matinee review show, he got a very nice Ahsoka statue with her owl
Oh.
going up.
Oh.
Not super expensive. I'm not going to put him out there like that, saying how much he's spending on stuff, but
Right.
not a $10 figure either. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking this like, man, maybe that's the way to go.
Yeah.
Because honestly, I've been downsizing, collecting things for a little
Mm-hmm.
while, But it's like now, but also like, and the big thing also with comics is I just look at. I never thought I'd be the man with 4 long boxes and like 5 short boxes because I tried to divide it up by series. You know,
Hmm.
and I'm kind of wanting to like, well, what's the core series? And I don't know. That's where I'm at. That's kind of like I just wanted to kind of
Yeah,
get your
and I mean, like,
thoughts.
what'd you say? Four long boxes and how many short boxes?
Like 5, because I got them like
Five short
I
boxes.
got a few complete runs and stuff like that.
So four of those long boxes and three of the short boxes are all Savage Dragon, and then what? You've got a short box full of just random. No,
Right?
I'm
Yeah.
just kidding.
I wish that then I would actually have my complete run of Savage Dragon.
Yeah, yeah,
Surprisingly, most of it all fits in one long box because I'm still missing about 100 issues. That's not including like
right,
spin-offs and guest appearances and all that goodness collecting's ever done. But I can focus on Savage Dragon comic wise,
right.
and
Yeah, yeah.
like. But now it's like I got back when we were in Southern Fried Geekery, of course, it was a lot more reason to buy weekly books, and
Right.
even though we do talk comics on here occasionally, it's just kind of yeah, the need dwindled, and I don't know if I'm just getting to an old man or yeah, you kind of change the way things go as you go, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's more of like, your perception of what your collection is and what you want it to be and stuff like that. And like you end up just kind of like sitting on a bunch of stuff. Like, I mean, like I mentioned earlier, I was really big into Green Lantern for the longest time, which I'm still a fan. Can't tell you, I think the last Green Lantern thing that I read was Far Sector, which I
Right.
haven't finished yet, but was pretty cool. But yeah, like for the longest time, for birthdays and stuff like that, all I would get is like Green Lantern shit. So I amassed this like collection of stuff, but now I'm just kind of
Right.
like sort
Right.
of sitting on it, and I'm like, I don't know that I really want all this.
Yeah,
It's kind
because
of it's
like
kind of funny how your kind of likes and everything change.
oh for sure, and it's like Buggy won't be very much gone because again, there's not a bunch of his, and what
Hmm.
he does have, I feel are pretty quality figures.
Right.
But I had some little things here and there. I might pass the good word of Buggy on to some of our budding One Piece friends that I have out
Right.
there. But
Hmm.
yeah, that's really it. That's kind of like weighing on my mind. Like, am I a bad fan because I want to get rid
No.
of stuff to get new stuff, or am I just an
Right.
old codger who no longer loves nice things? But
Right. Yeah. No, I don't think it has anything to do with age or like maturity or anything like that. Necessarily, or your like interest in it waning or anything. I know like a lot of my stuff. Some of mine has to do with interest. But a lot of mine right now, like I haven't bought a lot of collectibles, and the main reason why is we don't necessarily have a lot of space to display right now. Um,
space definitely has factored into it too. But
Yeah, like we don't. I didn't bring any shelves up here with me whenever we came, and kind of we live in an apartment, a 2 bedroom apartment, which is nice and serves our needs and everything. But there's not a whole lot of space to display stuff right now. So
right, right.
maybe whenever I mean, so kind of what I've been resorting to doing is whenever I got my desk set up, I started setting stuff up on it, and then I got my desk at work, and they kind of like said whenever we first started going back to work, like you have a limit to how many things you can put on your desk, like flair or whatever, and I'm like,
Right.
is there? So I would kind of like sneak something up there every now and then just to see if they would say anything. And yeah, so I've got a pretty cool little setup up there now
Right,
that
right.
I'm digging. But yeah, man, I don't even like I just need space, and then I might consider buying more stuff. But yeah, no, I 100% uh, definitely can understand the whole want to not really like collect the smaller cheaper things that pop up more often than the expensive things that its supplies are like limited type stuff.
Right. Yeah. I think
Yeah.
that's where I'm going. Of course, we'll see
Hmm.
how that plays out, but
Yeah, yeah, for
yeah,
sure. So I kind of have a little bit of a topic,
sure.
and it could kind of have a sort of like um, I don't know interest waning necessarily, but it's kind of something that I thought about and figured it'd be kind of something for us to talk about, right?
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
so because you mentioned, I think I can't remember if it was last episode before last. I think it was last episode, or maybe it was after last episode. I can't remember. We were talking sometime about it. We
Right.
do
Right.
that a lot. Anyway, it's I started watching that series. So I'm a spider. So what? Right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Which is great. It's about this whole like classroom, and all these kids get transported to a fantasy world. The basic isekai trope that we all know and love and are
Right.
used to.
Right.
And like I've kind of got this like weird like balance for it, right? Because I love to see the stuff for the main character and her like struggle,
Right.
but I'm a little bit bored with like seeing the other characters because they're like in the safe zone and they're just like living the good life essentially. But there are some interesting things with how they came into this life and who they've become and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But a lot of times, and more than not, getting into an SK series, I've noticed that I don't really stick with them for super long on some of them, and I feel like a lot of that has to do with and it's almost the same thing of with an MMO, right? There being like the struggle, and
Yeah.
it's really really intriguing to watch them like grow at the beginning and be really weak and like have this kind of struggle, and it's like not as entertaining once they're like some kind of like super strong like badass, and there's no like real more, it doesn't seem like surprises to the world and stuff, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there are. Oh, I'm trying to think. Like I don't know, but yeah, like isekai started off very much of like the complete fish out of water, super
Hmm.
weak and having to learn. And we started also getting more of them where it's almost a power fantasy right off the bat.
Hmm.
Or even if it's like a video game, even if it's not necessarily even isekai, just I think those kind of fantasy video game esque world shows can be like that. And
Hmm.
I don't know, like yeah, power fantasies don't do it much for me.
Hmm.
The top of my head of one that kind of came out like that I was heard good things about and was recommended was something like the Delinquent Devil School or something like that,
Uh-huh.
where it was like a school for devils and the lead character is like the reincarnation of a super supreme powerful one. And while the
Hmm.
first episode was entertaining because like no one realized who he was, and they had a kind of the school bully picked a fight with him, and he's so strong he nukes him, resurrects him, nukes him again, resurrects him, and rinse repeats. And that was
Hmm.
funny for one episode, but by the second
Hmm.
one of him just, it's kind of like without the flair of One Punch Man, with the
Hmm.
beauty of his fights, it's not interesting. And
Yeah.
even One Punch Man, I had no desire to go see the second season. I was shocked to find out that there was more than one season. That there, even in the manga, like
Hmm.
really, there's more to this. Like
Um.
we got it. To me, we got it, and I was done with it.
Hmm. Yeah, and that was kind of like, so it was interesting with that series, and I'll get back to SAK in a second.
Yeah,
But so I don't know, what prompted me to do this, but I jumped on the manga for One Punch Man,
yeah,
just to kind of see where it went and how it's going and everything. Because I like Mob better, and like that
right,
character is
right.
like in the same sort of like overpoweredness, but they give him like kind of like what is it, like personality handicaps, right?
Oh
Where
yeah,
he's kind of dim a little bit and doesn't really catch on quickly. But he's just got like these ungodly like supernatural powers, and they actually do give him some pretty good fights that he can't just brush off
right.
throughout the series. But for One Punch Man, more than anything else, and what I picked up on it is you're less following and rooting for Saitama, the main character, and everything, and it's more about the side cast, like the all the other super like heroes and villains and stuff like that
Right,
is
right.
what I got.
Yeah, and
I
that's fair.
and I like seeing all their struggles and everything. They had some pretty good ones. I'm not current with it because I realized that they come out pretty irregularly, so I kind of just let it build up and then I'll just read it all. But yeah, that's I mean, like they had this struggle with a character that's like definitely my favorite, Metal Bat. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Nah, I don't remember much of it, outside of
He's
some punches.
yeah, he's a delinquent, but he's one of the top heroes. And he uses a metal bat, and he's like that delinquent with a heart of gold whole
Okay.
motif.
Right,
Yeah,
right. Well,
but
fitting,
yeah,
very fitting to be a delinquent.
right. But yeah, just kind of thinking about it. So that's sort of where I fell off of slime a little bit.
Oh, really?
And yeah, and you know, it's definitely something I'm going to go back to. But it's like, you know, it starts off and he's like, okay, I'm a slime now. That kind of sucks. Then he finds out that he can absorb abilities, and he keeps getting stronger and stronger. And eventually, what kind of kept me on for that was like, you know, him advancing his whole like city and like, you know, world building and stuff like that. And then kind of seeing like where all the other characters go, like after he names them, they level up and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's something that I want to jump back on. And then they were, you know, introducing like the demon lords or whatever. That was pretty amazing.
Right. Now, see, I would argue for slime for the same reason you argued for One Punch Man,
Mm-hmm.
because the beauty of slime, because in an extent, whenever Rimuru has to, you know, step in, yeah, it's a
Mm-hmm.
100% power fantasy. With
Yeah.
his absorption and, you know, consumption ability, he can pretty much do anything. But that show is not about. I think isn't has is no longer about the mystery of the isekai world. Now
Mm-hmm.
it's a it's a city sim. It is
Yeah.
you see the relations between nations, especially here in season 2. If you haven't watched any of it, you know the last demon lord that he kind of like was warned about. He's now working through peace, and
Yeah.
like they're having the interactions with his like generals, and they have a nice little clash, and he's just sitting back going, I can't interfere because, you know, this will basically be a declaration of war if I one shot his generals.
Mm-hmm.
So he knows, like,
Right.
he knows the limits. It has like you're seeing the growth of the side characters, his named monsters, and how they've
Mm-hmm.
changed and evolved, the relationships that are going on, and now we got like a whole new kingdom with some
Mm-hmm.
aggressively powerful people, and they're trying to maintain the peace.
Right.
So to me, that is way more interesting than what it was presented to me in, like, say, One Punch Man. But
Yeah.
no, but I get
Yeah.
that. I get that because
Mm-hmm.
like Sword Art Online, when it really blew up the isekai genre, you know, and everything follows suit with the video game formula, it got tiresome pretty quick. But
Mm-hmm.
but then you do get the ones that have standouts, like I'd say Slime. As much as I
Mm-hmm.
fell off of ReZero, I'm trying to get back on it. But, you know, with ReZero being like that, and
Mm-hmm.
another Knights and Magic was a good one.
Yeah, and I was actually going to bring that one up. I think like as long as they continue this whole like, you know, occasionally them having struggles, but also like building things up and improving the world around them. I think that that's definitely a thing, and I mean that's one of the big things that I've been wanting to jump back on Slime for. Um, but yeah, I really hope we get another season of Knights of Magic at some point because you know he got dropped into this world and he's like advancing its technology by like you know years and years
Yeah.
and I think that was always kind of like the interesting thing because like you know he gets there and it's cool they've got you know robots and magic and stuff and he pilots one and just basically you know blows it out of its like all of its limiters and everything
Right.
and then he's like how can I improve this so it's like a constant like leveling up and like eventually they get like freaking airships and stuff like that and it just gets like really cool how they're doing that stuff and then they just occasionally will have new countries that pop up and all of a sudden they're like in this huge like arms war just going back and forth and it was kind of cool to see that and see how they advanced their technology and stuff in that one.
Yeah, and that one had a very creative setup, especially, and
Hmm.
it's especially fun for Gunpla fanatics, who are getting
Right.
all the references and the ideas of where he's coming up with this kind of stuff.
Hmm.
But like, yeah, I think the isekai in that for that genre specifically, the unique ones stand out more and are going to keep you invested.
Yeah. Yeah.
The one I think we're both. I hope you're still waiting on it. I know I am.
Shield
Is
Hero.
Shield Hero because
Yeah.
that one's not a power fantasy. That's a suffering fantasy, and
Yeah.
like, and that's the twist. Like he's got super powered shit about him.
Hmm.
He's strong, but man, it doesn't matter what he does. He's just shat upon his entire
Hmm.
existence, and it's
Right.
been you're rooting for him. Like that's it's one of the first ones in a while where I can honestly, 'cause, we all root for the hero, of course. You cheer on, but I mean, like you're really sitting there every time he falls, and you're just getting super fucking mad, every
Hmm.
time he's fucked over, and that's I think is the really strong point to the rise of the Shield Hero because
Oh. Oh yeah.
he got done dirty quick,
Hmm.
and like to see how he handled it, which he had his good and bad moments with it. I think is just like brings a lot out because like you said, there's a million isekai out there, and I actually got I got a question for you though.
Hmm.
There are isekai, but are they isekai out there?
Hmm.
I got a question for you, and sorry if we're getting
Yeah.
derailed here, but you made me think
No, no,
about
no,
it.
you're fine.
Your description of Knights and Magic made me think about this.
Hmm.
Now, is it an isekai if you're still in the same world, but it's a completely different world?
Are you referring to Doctor Stone?
I am absolutely referring to Doctor Stone.
Yeah, it was funny because I pulled up a list earlier and I saw Doctor Stone and I'm like, interesting. So like they kind of consider it one, and that's a really like you know interesting question too,
Yeah,
because technically they didn't die, but they were basically transported to like a far distant future where they had to start over
yeah, a
essentially.
completely
And
foreign world to them. Even though if it's still
yeah,
Earth, it's been thousands of years. Yeah, so
right.
yeah, it's totally an isekai.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty interesting to think of. The one that I don't agree with on this list that I think's a little strange
Uh-huh.
is for some reason My Hero Academia is on this list.
What?
Yeah, and I don't really consider that necessarily
I don't.
an isekai.
I
Yeah,
literally don't see how. It's a unique
yeah,
world to our own, but
yeah,
everyone's from that world.
yeah,
Unless dun 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 no.
yeah.
All Might's not from the world. That's why he changed everything. No,
Yeah,
I don't. Then again,
yeah,
websites. We all know websites.
yeah,
But
yeah.
like, and Isekai's been around a while. Surprisingly enough. Uh,
Hmm.
and of course, you could dilute, I guess, the description of it. But like one, I never got into it. But an early one I can think of is Inuyasha.
Oh, true.
Well, Kagome went to the, technically it's just like what, feudal Japan, but it's feudal Japan with demon dogs and chicks with large boomerangs. That's about all I remember from the show.
Yeah, yeah. Lesser blue seed. Gotcha.
Blue Seed. Wow, I forgot about that one. But it's
So
no,
good.
it's no Ranma half. But but yeah, those shows like that. I mean, not
Escaflowne, actually.
never watched it.
Yeah, I mean, it was essentially this girl who lived on a regular world, and she got transported, I think, to like a completely different like universe, and
Oh wow.
she ended up like being some kind of like wild like chosen one and stuff like that. So
Okay.
it's
Okay.
definitely up there for like one of the earliest isekai type series.
For sure. Now here's one for you.
Huh?
It may be stretching the definition.
Hmm.
Is Dragon Ball an isekai? Because
Mm.
Goku is not from this planet.
Yeah, but it's the same like
I
universe.
know, I know. That was the song.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of something
What?
older than
Okay.
Escaflowne.
Okay. What about Spirited Away?
Oh yeah, that's absolutely an isekai.
Yeah.
Which, granted,
Yeah.
it's the spirit realm of our world.
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay, well then, okay. If Spirited Away is, does that mean Yu Yu Hakusho is?
Ooh, it's like, yeah, I guess you've got this weird like kind of I don't know, in between where like
Yeah, yeah,
if another plane of existence exists, like heaven or hell or whatever,
right.
um, is it considered that since it's like a supposedly like known thing, you know? Um, yeah, that's
Like I said, we
it's
could.
interesting. We're blurring the lines here.
You can't blur the line because, like, Sword
Yeah.
Art Online (SAO) is credited for really blowing up the isekai genre to my knowledge. I don't know if there was a
Mhm.
big. I know when Sword Art Online came out, that's when they really defined this
Right.
genre of anime. But
Uh,
I just remember someone kind of really mentioning, like, there's been a lot of this kind of scenario, but it was never really
uh-huh.
classified as isekai yet, or at
Hmm.
least
Hmm.
it didn't start the genre that we all know now. Which, granted, I guess
Right.
Sword Art Online really started the video game aspect.
Okay, I've got another one.
Okay,
Digimon.
no, nobody likes Digimon. Moving on. So, no, yeah. Now Digimon, yeah, okay. Yeah, that's right. They went into the digital world, right? I'm
Hmm.
legitimately. I'm
Yeah.
not being facetious here.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah. Yeah.
very,
Yeah.
I'm very loose on my knowledge of Digimon. So
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
was about the kids. Did they ever
Yeah.
bring the Digimon to the real world?
Yeah.
Okay.
And especially in this new series. Well, actually, they haven't yet in the new series. But yeah, it's been more of the kids going, and it's kind of cool because they have two different layers. They have the actual like material digital world, and then the online digital world. So
Right.
it's kind of yeah.
Yeah. So I
Uh,
mean, totally. It's a because they when because it's not something they could just regularly do, right? I mean, as far as like the world, like they were the chosen, right? They got
yeah.
selected to go into the digital world to be digital champions, however the song goes, and and meet the blobs that turn into T Rexes that turn into big titty angel women or whatever they evolved into. I love Digimon's evolution. I give it shit, but you can't beat Digimon evolution,
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
though Pokemon's superior. Digimon definitely rank higher though in some of these evolutions. I'll give it that.
Right. 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 Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, because getting transported to another world, you want to go old school. The first isekai I know of is it's called Captain N, the Game Master, from the.
I, I I don't even know what the fuck you just said, little kid.
Dude, I don't. This is I'm showing my boomer skills here. In the This is the Nintendo era, the NES era. There was a
Uh-huh.
cartoon show that started off with a live action opening of a dude who's being a total dude playing his Nintendo, wearing his Nintendo fucking Letterman jacket that never available anywhere else. Uh, and he's got his dog by him, and he gets sucked into the Nintendo world where he meets Mega Man, and they made Simon Belmont a tanned blonde surfer dude who's an asshole and fighting Mother Brain, but he got warped into Nintendo land.
Interesting.
So like it's not a new concept, but like but yeah, the isekai has definitely like still goes back to Sword Art Online for better or worse. I like the first season of that, which I don't know if we ever really discussed Sword Art, but lost no interest in going back to any of
Okay,
the new seasons.
I've got another one for you, Sean.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
gonna
oh yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna one up your last one.
Okay.
Little known video game slash movie, Mario.
Mario Brothers. Look, that
you
was
get
just
you got these plumbers. They get sucked into a fantasy world, right? I mean, that's how the movie went. I don't know if that's if like
yeah.
they're just straight up plumbers in the game, right? They're not from a different world or anything.
No, well, see, the Nintendo game doesn't exactly have the same backstory
Yeah,
as the
yeah,
cinematic masterpiece that is the live action
yeah.
film. You just literally start off there in your plumber overalls and start stomping on mushroom people in the game. So yeah, it's totally an isekai. But is it?
could,
Yeah.
could you imagine? Like, I really want them to go back and remake the movie, but as an anime, like an isekai anime. Like,
Like
can
super
we have this,
serious.
please?
But
Yes.
I want it to be the struggle, like Grimgar Fantasy and Ash,
Oh
uh,
Jesus!
where
Yeah.
like Mario runs up to the first Goomba and he tries to jump on it and like bites him. He's just bleeding everywhere, and he has to literally just pummel it into the ground, crying, like going like the super dark Mario
Uh,
Brothers. And then Luigi shows up and Mario just tells him to fuck off.
as long as John Leguizamo reprises his role as Luigi, I'm good with this.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, perfect. How did this devolve again? I don't remember.
I think we yelled at anime for having power fantasies being boring, and then it turned into Mario Brothers. I mean, to me, that's kind of the natural evolution of conversation.
Right,
But
right.
but it's like, I guess to circle way the fuck back.
Hmm.
Yeah, like it's become a bit more abundant in isekai.
Hmm.
Even though I haven't watched, like, I kind of quit watching a bunch of isekai. Like, I was shocked
Hmm.
when I got like Shield Hero and Slime back to back
Hmm.
because it felt very much like the same every series. Oh, I'm
Hmm.
trapped in another world with my cell phones. Okay, the cell phone's gonna break it. I don't need to watch the fucking show. I could be wrong. It could be a masterpiece, but just going
Right.
by, because they're all, a lot of them, most of them are not visual novels, light novels.
Uh, yeah, light novels,
Light
right.
novels. So they got to have a 27 word title.
Hmm.
And some of them just really started hitting that whole, like, okay, you're just telling me the entire plot. I don't feel like I need to get invested in these characters because
Hmm.
it's kind of become predictable. And again, that might be wrong of me to assume such, but you gotta, like, every new season of anime I try to watch the first episode. Sometimes I don't make it all the way through because I'm either don't care for it or I kind of like, all right, I'm getting it. I see where this is gonna go. I doubt it's gonna
Hmm.
shock me
Hmm.
or surprise me, I guess would be the better word, with any
Yeah.
twist. Because like, Shield Hero, it gets you pretty quick in the first episode when they just start shitting on him. So like, okay, I'm
Hmm.
seeing the difference here. He's not just like the legendary hero.
Hmm.
Slime, it took a while before Reburu got to the power level he was,
Hmm.
but it had a cute character with an interesting setup. Instead of just being born as the hero in the world, you're born as a random monster that you find
Hmm.
in the video games. So
Yeah.
those make them stand out to me. And like,
Yeah,
oh, good, good,
and that's the interesting thing about the spider one, right? Uh,
absolutely.
yeah.
Especially for me, actually saying I like an anime about a fucking spider. The
Mhm.
the,
Oh,
the
I didn't bring it up, but I thought about it the whole time. I was like, man, how does Sean like this show? He's got like hyper arachnophobia. This is
no, no,
hilarious.
no, no, no. Let's be fair. Let's be fair. I don't like them. They need to stay out of my way. But I don't have a phobia because I'm not. I won't run out of a room if I see a spider, unless it's too big
Right.
or aggressive. Then I'm gonna run. But because I will step on a motherfucker, you know. But here's the difference. If I saw a spider roll up on my desk that looked like, I don't know her name, but the main spider from Soma Spider So What,
Hmm.
and just looked up at me, I'm like, you're fucking adorable. I'm gonna put you in a jar and hope you don't die when I try to feed you flies. You know what I mean? Like, it's a cute fucking spider. That, like, my wife Vanetta sat in on the third episode with me. Like,
Hmm.
she knew I'd like kind of watch one, but she came out past. But she got to sit down, and of course, it's the one where it's seeing a spider just bloodily devour a snake, and she's like, "That's
Hmm.
so gross, but it's so cute."
Hmm.
And of course, that ending,
Yeah.
she came in and out of the episode, but she saw a good chunk of what was going on. But then, kind of like you with the humans, I think she lost interest when we got to the humans.
Yeah.
But I think that's going to pay off. To go back
Right.
to that though, I think we are going to somehow get a team up, or they're going to go explore the dungeon that's the Spider Girl is in,
Hmm. Hmm.
and maybe because like we've seen some stuff from like the opening and ending stuff, like it seems like she's going to
Right.
get like a spiked
An
form.
audience
Well, definitely going to get an
and
audience with the glow
yeah,
sticks in unison
get
cheering her on.
yeah,
And
yeah.
and God bless that voice actress who not only
Oh my god.
has proven she can talk like a frog in My Hero Academia, she is the voice of Asui Suyu Asui Froppy,
Yeah.
but now she in a more regular voice doing a great spider. But my God, she can like rap at the speed of light at the end here, or she's just really talking. Like like
Yeah.
that ending is batshit insane and kind of
It's so
amazing.
good. And it's funny because I mentioned earlier whenever we were texting about recording today about the last scene after the credits,
Right.
and it's normally I would just skip to the next episode, and I completely forgot that there was an after credit scene for the last episode. But the outro is so fucking great that I end up catching all of the after episode or after credit scenes and stuff.
And I usually do, but like, yeah, when you messaged me about it, you're like, "Could you believe that?" And I'm like, I'm sitting here like, "All right, my brain fried? Am I old and forgetful?" I don't want to think I skipped it because I love that ending. I watch it every time. I've
Yeah,
watched it all three times
yeah,
now, and I like the opening too, which I don't
yeah.
always skip, but I do tend to skip eventually.
Hmm.
And this one is particularly great. I so far like because that one has been really good. Now we have one that's kind of hitting that power fantasy,
Hmm.
but it's not an isekai, but it is set in a fantasy video game world, and that's
Hmm.
called a secret dungeon only I can enter.
Yeah, I was gonna message you because I couldn't remember what the other one was that you recommended, but
Those have been
yeah.
the big two for me this new
Hmm.
season, as well as
Hmm.
the returning season for me and the wife of Laid Back Camp, just a slice of life about girls like going camping. But yeah, the secret dungeon only I can enter. It's the one I did warn you about because I know you're not opposed to it, but you're not also a fan of the etchy, the fan service.
I can appreciate it whenever it shows up and it's not like that's their biggest thing, and
Right,
like
right.
as long as it's not annoying. I don't know how much of Fire Force you watch, but they have a character in it that just every time she comes on screen, Steph and I just groan. We're like, oh God.
All right,
Because she has no other plot purpose other
oh
than being like super like lewd and stuff. It's just
yeah,
come on.
I get that. And I get, well, should I say I get while that's not for everyone.
Mhm.
Like all you did was tell me a reason to go back and watch Fire Force, which actually I did re-queue it up. I need to get back on that show. I was enjoying
Yeah.
it, but I fell off of it when I fell off of watching anime on a regular, just sticking with a few
Mhm.
shows. But I've
Yeah.
re-queued up a lot. Okay, so let me describe this anime so I can either save you the time or maybe intrigue you and see if it's too much. So
Right.
it's a world where you have magic points, you have abilities, and a guy finds the way to get this new ability unlocked. Like I said, I don't want to give away too much of the plot, but it costs
Mhm.
life points. So and it's explained to him like, yeah, you can do these things. They're kind of game breaking, but like so far it hasn't been too severe, as far as like power fantasy level. He can do some very creative and very powerful things, but maybe he just hasn't really had to break it out yet. But it costs life points, and if you use your life points like they would sound like, you die. And so he's like, well, how can I regain life points? And it's like the simple things in life that you enjoy: eat a good meal, sleep full 8 hours, touch a boob. And that's kind of where we get into the etchy of like,
Mhm.
because like he has a childhood friend, typical anime setup. She likes him, he likes her, but of course, will they, won't they? Uh, who is gifted in the Chesto region, but he learns that like like, and she's complete. This isn't like him any kind of forcing or anything. She's 100% down for like all they've really done is kiss, and that's kind of like he's explaining like because she kind of knows the deal. So they have like a morning ritual where they meet each other, they hi, and they kiss, and he gets life points back. But then you're also getting into, yeah, like I said, like he wanted to help her out, and he needed a lot of life points quickly. So it was a chest grab moment, which made him happy, made her happy. But he was like, all right, well she's doing all this for me, and she's complaining about the pain in her shoulders, because of her large chest. So he wants to help her out, and the visual metaphor they used for him shrinking her chest down was two balloons deflating, and you just see the horror appear on her face as that's
Oh
happening.
God.
Because she didn't tell him. She just complained like her shoulders hurt because of her boobs, and he's like, well, maybe a smaller chest to like, and she's just like gonna murder him, put him back. kind of thing. So, and I mean, you got little things like that of like, hey, I need to use this ability. How do? And he's talking to the person who granted him this power. He has like a contact, and it's like, how can I get 5,000 life points quickly? Well, the only way you're gonna do that is line up every girl you know and just run down the line, grabbing their chests.
Oh my god.
So it's got that level of humor, but it has some like legit action.
Yeah.
And even though yes, it's fan servicey.
Oh, I'm sure it's got action, all right,
No.
Sean.
Look, this isn't Bikini Heroes, okay, or anything, or Bikini Warriors, or anything. Like, I don't know. It may be worth your time, but I do also understand if it's a little too much etchy humor. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, cause like
I may
it's
check
not
out a couple of this
it's not Monster
episodes.
Musume levels of just tits for the sake of tits. It kind of works it in a sense, if that makes any
Mhm.
sense. You might
Yeah,
dig it
yeah.
because it's gotten some good action to it
Right.
as well as plenty of the boobage.
Well, so one that we didn't mention that actually just wrapped up its first season because I think it started during the summer time. I think so.
Right.
Was I'm Standing on a Million Lives.
Yeah, which I only
Um,
finally just wrapped up.
yeah, and it's funny because you were the one that got me into it. But I think that's like the story of our lives: is I'll get
Yeah.
you into something, and then like you'll get hooked on it, and I kind of fall off of it, and then
Right.
finish it later, and then the vice versa kind
Yeah.
of happens. But this one, man, this one hooked me pretty quick, and it was kind of like that point where I hadn't watched an SK in a while. So I jumped back on it, and really intriguing plot, and I think we went over it in an earlier episode. It's essentially this guy who doesn't like people, and he's really into video games. Ends up getting transported into a fantasy world with these two other girls who have been here, and apparently they get like a goal each time they get transported there, and if they finish the goal, they level up, and then a new player gets added next time they get transported there.
Right. Which is a
Um,
very unique setup in the isekai
yeah,
genre. Which also
yeah.
the big one too is, again, we may have mentioned this, so forgive us if we're repeating ourselves, but we're finally recording on time.
Hmm.
But the death situation of
Right,
being able to
right.
respawn after so many seconds as long as someone in your party's alive. But if you get a total
Hmm.
party wipe, you're fucking done. And
Right.
I really liked that. It had a little bit of the early onset of kind of Shield Hero, not a Shield Hero in the hate, but like the difficulty at first. Of them
Hmm.
kind of learning the world, and dying many times. But luckily, one of them always kind of hanging back to let them respawn. And I do like that it's not while they're only starting to get power. By the end of the first season, like it's a lot of skill based wins over just like I got the wizard class, I can nuke them with a fireball.
Hmm.
So that's been some like that was a really positive things for me on that show.
Yeah, yeah, kind of having abilities and like leveling them up, or like
Yeah.
even in the main character's thing is once you level up so many times in this, you get a new class, so you can switch between your classes. And he kind of does like sort of an amalgam of his classes and uses a bunch of different abilities.
Yeah, and I like that.
Um,
Like
yeah,
that he didn't get knight or, sorcerer. He got farmer and then chef.
yeah,
But
yeah.
but to show that chef teaches him the anatomy of creatures. Like, that's fucking
Hmm.
brilliant.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
super smart.
That was it's a very creative one. It uh we're we should be getting a second season. They definitely left it at that, unless
Oh yeah.
it was kind of a batshit ending, but
Hmm.
that's okay. I like
Yeah.
it went wild, and we might be. I don't want to give away too much, but yeah, there should be a second
Hmm.
season, and it's gonna kind of flip things around. So I really like that, and I
Hmm.
really like the reveal of what was kind of like going on.
Hmm.
When they
Um,
yeah
Yeah, yeah, just like because we like the bulk of the season was like them doing one solid mission,
yeah
and like because they finally they beat one, and then they started a new one with a new player, so they have this new person in here, and then they also introduce some other characters that are in this world, and then by the time it's over, they find out some like bombshell news that
yeah
kind of like changes his whole like opinion of stuff. And it's just kind of cool. I like to have that characters growing and everything like that. And speaking of that, it's something that I really like about So I'm a Spider, is that she starts off and she doesn't really have anything, and as she kind of like advances in this world, her level goes up, and she what's the first ability she gets?
It's like
Um,
I can't never remember the actual name, but it's like appraise or scan or something
oh
like that.
yeah, appraisal.
It is appraisal.
Um,
Okay.
yeah, so it's kind of one of those things where, like, in Slime, the main character started off with appraisal, so they could look and see like the ingredients and everything and the effects that it would have on him and everything like that. So she kind of gets the same idea. So she's like, oh, I'm going to get the appraisal skill as my first skill. And it ends up just being complete garbage. It's just like,
Yeah.
she looks at a rock and it says rock. She looks at a wall, it says wall. So one of the cool things about it is every time she levels, it tells like her new stats. The more she uses an ability, that levels up and it gets things. So like she gets to the point with like appraisal where she can see all of her like SP, like the speed, magic power, her health and stuff like that, and then the health of everything else and the level of everything, which I thought was really cool. Not to mention, she has like different trees that she could go down of like abilities, skills, and then we later find out that she could also evolve into different species of the terror tech that she is. And I
Right.
thought that was a really ingenious thing for them to do.
Yeah, and the whole like reveal of having uh, appraisal was like she made the big deal point out, which I don't know if it was necessarily directed at Slime, but it definitely
Right.
felt like it. Of like, I've seen these stories where they get appraisal and it's like a game breaking ability, so of course I'm gonna
Hmm.
do it. He says, I'll take
Right.
appraisal. All right, tell me what special features are about this rock. Rock. Okay, well this wall's probably got a secret door to a right wall. And just the how disappointed she was in herself.
Hmm.
And but you do see her struggle. Like I mean, that
Yeah.
first the battle with the poison frogs.
Hmm.
Like she's like, even though she got it trapped in the web, it was still a battle
Oh
and a
yeah.
half of like
Yeah.
dealing with their acid spit and her learning, and that's what's been really cool too. Even though this
Hmm.
one feels a little more lighthearted than maybe some of the other isekai out there,
Hmm.
it's taking some serious little like at least I feel like they're handling it with a good balance of where it gets serious for her, but it's also she just wants to make her perfect web house, which includes a soft bed. You know what I mean? So
And
yeah,
a TV with a remote that doesn't work.
yeah, but you got to have your luxuries in life.
Yeah, and we kind of get a little bit of a struggle because we see the other kids that were in the class, and they're just kind of like at this magic school living it up. Spoiler alert: one of them that was like a popular girl ended up getting turned into a dragon whenever she came into this world, so she's like a little familiar right now.
Right.
But they also kind of like showed more on that as well whenever we got the evolution for the main character, where the person that was kind of looking after her was going through a book and was like, oh yeah, look at all the different evolutions that an earth dragon can go through and everything. So
Right. Yeah.
yeah, it's,
Which
it's definitely
again,
interesting.
the right now, yeah, the spider moments are definitely the more interesting parts. But again,
Hmm.
I think we're gonna get a lot more involvement between the two, and I think it'll pick up. Although, like I said, I'm not hating or being bored by the human element
Hmm.
of it. But
Right.
yeah, I'm like you're watching them, you're seeing what they're going through, and this third episode definitely picked up a bit on their
Hmm.
end. But you're still kind of like, all right, well, what's Spider Lady doing at the same time?
Right.
Because she is adorable, and you're worried about her struggle. Is she gonna be able to
Yeah.
keep her web house, or are these damn humans gonna be able to outrun her, even though her speed is like 493?
Right.
But
Yeah.
it's been a good one. The I'm enjoying the secret dungeon. It may not be for everyone. I'll understand. Uh, if you want to talk more about that, y'all can find me in my special show, The Yokai Degenerates, where
Right.
we talk
Oh,
about all
yeah.
things
You
bad.
started that without me, huh?
I didn't want to offend you. No, that's gonna be our Patreon exclusive. Remember, you gotta pay. You gotta pay to hear our dirty thoughts. But yeah, I mean, there's been a few other shows I started, and some of them are like were not for me. There was one I don't want to shit on it too much because I hate. We're not necessarily here to be haters, but
Right.
what the fuck are you doing, X Arms? I don't know if you looked at this one.
I have not.
I don't.
X. You said X arms.
X Arms, I believe, is the title. So cell shading has become a popular thing in anime. We have great shows like Beastars and
Hmm.
uh, Kenren Sakura, stuff like that is on Netflix, just a fighting anime that uses
Hmm.
the cell shading, 3D art,
Hmm.
and which kind of got really popularized, I'd say, with Ruby, in anime. If it's technically an
Hmm.
anime, that's debatable. But, that kind of style picked up. And this is a new anime that uses that style that's more stiff than the show Reboot.
Oh wow.
Like, this is like, okay, was this a project in someone's wireframe class in CG school? Because it is horrendous. I and maybe the studio is small. I don't know their history. I don't know their life. But
Hmm.
like I didn't make it through the opening credit because it went straight to the opening credit with rocking soundtrack trying to show action that's moving at 5 frames a second. And it's like, what what made you do this? What choices did you make in life that made you produce this? So
Right.
that's what I would definitely tell y'all to stay away from this new season. But who knows? Again, it could be a masterpiece anime. But kind of like what we've talked about with comics before, you could have the best written comic story that's going to blow my mind, change my life, maybe change the course of my life 100%. But if it's drawn like shit, I'm probably not going to find that out.
I mean, speaking of that style, though, if you want really good ones to watch,
Yeah.
Knights of Magic kind of uses a blend of
Yeah.
CG and standard animation. The two really big ones that I watched not too long ago that had, in my opinion, immaculate CG animation that I really loved and it worked well for the stories was
Yeah.
Beastars and
Ab-
Dorohedoro on Netflix.
Absolutely. Both of those are
Hmm.
well done.
Hmm.
The action
Hmm.
for what little is in Beastars and
Hmm.
what's definitely in Dorohedoro, it works, it flows, it's done well. And
Yeah.
like, but this is like, I can't remember the anime. I just remember it was one. Well, actually, it was the second season of the new Baki one that's on Netflix.
Hmm.
Maybe the first one. It may only have 2 seasons.
Hmm.
But you go from beautiful 2D hand drawn animation, which Baki's art style, if y'all are familiar with Baki, is super detailed, exaggerated musculature is his bread and butter
Right.
for a fighting anime. And then all of a sudden, it turns into slow mo 3D stuff when they want to do certain attacks, and it's jarring and bad.
Yeah.
I suffered through it because it wasn't because over the last, I would say, 5 years, we started seeing more CG being incorporated into 2D anime.
Hmm.
Whether it's for budgetary reasons, certain camera angles. Some do it better than others, and it's fine. Sometimes it's a notable, like that's a very weirdly flying bird in the background. They CG'd it instead of animating it. Little
Hmm.
cut little corners, wide shots. Sometimes you'll see background characters. But like when you go from really good 2D to the same character suddenly being cell shaded and moving like a like I said, reboot from the '90s, if y'all remember that, or just a very stiff, basic frame. Like I could animate this on Adobe, you know what I mean, kind of stuff.
They
It's like
probably did.
it may be, and like season two, that or at least the season after I noticed all that, it should have been season two, just kept it 2D. But like Beastars is
Hmm.
animated beautifully and it's fully CG, which I think is I'd rather you have one or the other. So props to X Arms for wanting to just go full 3D, but man, like no, it's just it's not. It was like I don't know. It hurt me to look at it. And I'm sorry anyone out there. Let me know if you guys think it's a fantastic show, and I need to get over myself and quit being a snob with an animation snob. Because I can accept that. Maybe that's my problem. That's my issue, and I shouldn't be pushing onto them. But fuck that shit. But Jerry, I think that's gonna be about our time, unless you have anything dire that we have to make sure we get out
Oh
to the
man,
good people today.
yeah. I don't think so. Other than Warriors of Virtue was also an SK, so fucking deal with that shit. Fucking roll your head around that.
Look, sir, it's not just an isekai. It's the best isekai.
That's so great.
Kung
I,
Fu Kangaroo Ninja Turtles
I
is.
love that movie so much.
You know what? I'll do you one better to end it on here. Chuck
Oh
Norris's
no.
Sidekicks is an isekai.
No fucking Last Action Hero.
Oh no, no, no! If you like us but not Last Action Hero, like, comment, subscribe, share the videos. Tell Jerry he's terrible for bringing up Last Action Hero, and that's going to be an argument for another show. We'll catch y'all later.
Peace.